going on, fellow A-plussers? It is I, your more phenomenal host, Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new review as we're going to get into DonBrothers episode number 4, a series that I'm really continuing to certainly enjoy. The pacing and the writing of this is certainly so good. I really do love just the fluid transitions from episode to episode, continuing to certainly push the storyline and the mystery in regards to the idea that I feel like very much like we've come into a situation of Super Sentai where a lot of stuff is already established and we're slowly getting the truth and mystery sort of revealed to us in regards to Momoi Taro that we got to see in great detail here in this week's episode. And I definitely still have my questions in regards to the brain people along with the sunglasses that seemingly seem to be very much bad luck, if you will. So a lot of stuff to definitely dive into this season, and I'm really enjoying how it's certainly unfolding so far. So shout out to DonBrothers for being a pretty solid season, one that I've really enjoyed so far, just 4 episodes and plenty of more to certainly come, right? So that can definitely change as the season continues, but been pretty impressed, man, and especially here in this episode where Momoi Taro really kind of gets the shine and the focus. We do get to see a little bit of a leftover from last week's episode with Momoi Taro attacking everybody. I love the fact that me and Oni's sister are on the same path and the same mindset of like, what the was he doing? Like, why are you attacking your teammates, sort of thing? It's almost like he was like, at least at the end of the episode, it felt like he was so overcome with joy at the idea that, you know, whether or not the enemy's been defeated or whatever the case may be, that he just had a little bit too much fun. It was like very over exuberant, if you will. So I don't really know what to take into all of that. But this episode kind of maybe answers some of those questions, what I thought was pretty cool. The fact that Oni's sister gets the opportunity to meet up with Jin in this episode, who's still stuck in his prison, if you will, and gets a little bit more insight in regards to what Momoi Taro's sort of life was like as a kid. And I'm a sucker for flashback sequences, you guys know that. I think it's a great way to certainly world build and certainly fill in the gaps. But I gotta tell you, man, I think it really puts Momoi Taro's personality and just him as a character in a really interesting perspective for me. You know, I think it's interesting to kind of see in the first 3 episodes somebody that walks around giving good fortune to people and things like that. But to see, I don't want to say necessarily well, I guess you could say the costs of what this kid has gone through to get where he's at and why he is the way that he is. I thought this flashback sequence was super eye-opening, and I absolutely loved it. The fact that Jin states that, you know, when it comes to Momoi Taro, he's excellent at everything. There's nothing that this person and kid can do that he's terrible at. He's excellent at everything that he does. And his whole point and purpose as a kid was simply just to make people happy, just to try and help them out along their ways. And while I think that's definitely the intention, and it certainly is always the intention, sometimes I think it's maybe the perspective and the point of view of others in regards to how you're certainly helping them that maybe it seems as though even his own neighborhood kind of got fed up, right? Like it became maybe a little bit too much. There was a repeated phrase in here that kept coming up. That's not the right way. And I think the idea of wanting to correct someone, always great, but maybe they're doing it a little bit too much to make it all of a sudden feel like you're Mr. Know-It-All, that you're kind of putting them down, making them not feel as good as about themselves as they certainly should, right? And I guess sometimes that blatant honesty that Momoi Taro has, letting people know, hey, you're not doing it right, but let me help you, while probably goes a long way, maybe the first 2 times. If he is Momoi Taro the way that Jin has expressed and the way that he's said this phrase countless times, that's not the right way, that's not the right way. Definitely people will certainly think that you're certainly overstepping and maybe thinking you're better than they certainly are, right? I think we get to see what Jin was talking about even in Momoi Taro's life as a kid, really even translating over into his current situation in this episode, where he winds up joining the consultation firm where Kiji brother works at and trying to help out the Onigiri shop that they wind up having, right? The idea of being honest, giving them the motivation, if you will, to make the changes, but almost maybe being too good or coming around very contentious, like Mr. Know-It-All, if you will, and he even really rubs the people that work at the Onigiri certainly the wrong way. I think the idea of Kiji mentioning, you're being really harsh on these people, even to the point where it seems like Kiji thinks he's overstepping, but the fact that he's like, look, you gotta give them some sort of encouragement, some good lines, even if it's not the truth, if you will. And if we learned anything from Momoi Taro, especially in the last week's episode or the couple of previous episodes, he doesn't lie. He's always going to tell you the truth, and he very much believes that the words that are spoken certainly come from the heart. So what you say is certainly what you mean, and you shouldn't sugarcoat it or certainly lie to people about it to make them feel a certain type of way. Like Homeboy's not handing out participation trophies, you know what I mean? And so the fact that he can push people to be better because he is excellent at what he does, he pushes them, shows them what to do, or at least emphasizes what needs to be changed. But I think if you're constantly doing that over and over and over again, it can be taken the wrong way. So to see his childhood of somebody who was so innocent, just simply wanting to help, to then have people boycotting and like protesting against him, moving out of the apartment, there is a sense of loneliness, sadness that I feel for this man, understanding that yes, the truth is important, but I guess the idea also of seeing where the truth has kind of gotten him in his life. You know what I mean? And I am interested to kind of see if or how those moments as a kid and feeling that way, how it changed his perspective as an adult. How he approaches things. Does he approach it a little bit differently? It doesn't seem like it, especially when it comes to the onigiri aspect. It is one of those things, like, I almost think that while he corrects you, he also kind of follows up, I think, with a little bit of a reinforcement and a reaffirming for some people. So maybe that's the lesson that he's learned. The idea that, if you're going to be that honest, make sure that you at least back up that honesty with a reaffirmation sort of statement. Again, not to sugarcoat, not to lie to you, but to give you that reinforcement for you to continue to do what it is that you're now certainly doing, now that you've learned the correct way from Mr. Perfect over here when it comes to Momoi Taro. So I just really enjoyed the insight for him this week. I thought it was pretty cool to be able to see him and Kiji brother team up a little bit and see how their personalities work with each other. And honestly, also, I think one of the honorable mentions I had in my notes was a little bit of a growth when it comes to Kiji brother in here. I am kind of curious as to what it is he asked his wife, because Kiji brother, when speaking with his wife, it wind up just cutting him off and moving on to the next scene, saying that he had a question to ask her and she was more than willing to be open and honest with him and tell him, answer any questions that he certainly had. But they don't tell us what the question is. And there is a part of me that wonders if Kiji brother asked her, "Do you really love me?" And I'm kind of curious to know what you guys think he asked her, because it does feel very much like Kiji brother feels like he's not good enough for his wife. That she's maybe so beautiful, he doesn't deserve her, really going out of his way to do everything for her as much as he possibly can. I wonder if it's the case to, one, because he's happy and he knows how lucky he is, or if he's just simply trying to keep his wife happy, which I think if you're married, we should all certainly try and definitely do that. But I do think maybe the words that Momo speaks to Kiji in here about the idea that words should come from the heart, that we shouldn't lie about things, tell it certainly like it is, and strive to kind of be better. I do wonder if Kiji realizes maybe he's not putting in enough effort for himself to be better for his wife. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he thinks he's got to do or be better for her, and if she loves him the way that he certainly is, but yet he can be better. And the only reason why I say that is when they're talking, he's, Momoi Taro's training these workers, getting them to stretch so that they can get stronger at what they're certainly doing. And I do wonder if it's all about improvement. Like, I do wonder if this means Kiji brother is just going to focus on himself and improve himself to maybe be the person he truly wants to be, and in turn, maybe that allowing him to be even better to his wife. I really don't know, but I am kind of curious if he asked her, do you love me? One, to kind of see if she's going to be honest with him, or if she's going to say something but yet sugarcoat it. You know what I mean? So I think he's I will be interested to see what happens with Kiji brother. That's just speculation on my part, but it clearly affected him a certain type of way, to the point to where he is the one mopping and cleaning the floors in the Onigiri bar, and then that thus in turn also motivates the other workers. It all comes from Momo's motivation. Where the motivation does go wrong, unfortunately, in here is for this week's Oni monster, or digital demon, or digital yukai. I don't even know what the name of these aliens or villains are. If you guys know, please let me know in the comment section box below. It's escaping me at this particular moment. But the fact that he goes to the OG Onigiri owner, tells him, hey, it's good, but it's not necessarily like passable, right? Like you gotta get better at it. He definitely takes the advice and goes out and gets better, but you can clearly see that greed, right, continuing this kind of build, to where when he does get back to his shop and he makes the onigiri, the fact that we get the opportunity to see him displeased that he actually went from he was like a 9.9 or something, or he's like the second best onigiri shop in the country. Like that would probably be good enough for most, but he takes that greed just to the next level. He's got to be better. And I think also the fact of him realizing he needs to be better, and then seeing somebody else come up right behind you and make one better, really pushes him to the brink and to the limit, where he fully is engulfed by this yukai by the end of this episode, and what turns out to be a pretty quick battle, to be perfectly honest with you. But it is interesting to kind of see trying to get to that perfect onigiri, really trying to do your best and not being satisfied with being second best. Like granted, we all want to get a gold medal and be a winner, right? But considering where you came and where you're at now, you got to be proud of your accomplishments then. But sometimes we get greedy, right? Sometimes we get greedy and want a little bit more to ourselves than just that. But so yeah, definitely took advantage of him in here. And speaking of villains, the brain people or persons wind up popping back up here this time. All three of them, we finally got themselves in a little bit of a group. Sonoi, Sonoza, and Sononi. And I do at least appreciate in this episode their realization of how these digital yukai seemingly are working. The idea of, hey, if you defeat these monsters with the weapons that the DonBrothers are using, they turn back to their human form and everything's all right. But it certainly looks as though one of the brain people, at least in regards to Sononi, doesn't think it really matters that much, right? Like she literally emphasizes the idea, like, look, our purpose is to go ahead and eliminate those that are consumed by greed, and it doesn't necessarily seem like it matters to her in which way that they certainly go about it. And I don't think Sonoi seemingly cares either, but he definitely seems fascinated by the two different methods of trying to terminate these yukai, if you certainly will. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm really going to enjoy Sononi. Just her perspective and her point of view of humans. Kind of terrifying and a little bit chilling. So I think she's probably one of the more deadlier of the three, if you ask me so far. So I am very much going to be interested to see how that winds up turning out. I will say this too, a little bit bummed Jin didn't give us any further information than that, right? It was almost like the writers are like, hey, enjoy this little speckle of Momo information and past history. We'll fill you guys in later. As frustrated as Oni's sister was, I was like, oh damn it, I really wanted to know a little bit more of his backstory. I thought we were certainly going to get the whole thing, but I was definitely pleased with what we wind up getting. I don't believe we had ourselves a Zord battle in here whatsoever. It wind up actually ending with them taking care of the yukai and saving the day in that regards. We did get the grand entrance, if you will, the festival entrance of Don Momoitaro, which was great to kind of see him being carried in once again by his bike. And then quick honorable mention also for Oni and Saru. Each of these characters got the opportunity to finally discover who each of the other persons character was, Saru brother revealing himself in regards to humanity, or in his human form, the idea that they both happened to run across the same woman and child that was about to get hit by a car, them transforming to go ahead and save the family, and when they demorph, they get the opportunity to finally see who the secret identity really belongs to. So I thought that was pretty cool of them connecting in this episode. And again, I praised Saru brother last week, and I'll do it again. I really love his intelligence and how he's able to break down the situations. Even if it is speculation, it seems to be speculation that tends to be pretty spot on, as he kind of speculates that the reason why Don Momoitaro was fighting them at the end of the previous episode is he believes because of the fact that they're amateurs, that they need some sort of personal training, if you will, right? To kind of help them get a little bit better. Maybe pretty unorthodox way to go about your training, to say the least, but that's exactly what Saru brother thinks. And so to be able to see them working together to maybe come up with like a fight sequence to take on Don Momoitaro at the end of their battle, I thought it was actually pretty cool. Like, I love the shot of Oni and Saru getting ready to go ahead and drop kick Don Momoitaro before he turns around and sort of blocks it, right? And the fact that he's into the battle right after that, he's like, okay, that's interesting. Like, he's picking up and at least seeing that those two are thinking ahead about each encounter that they're kind of in, and this being their response to how things went last time. Don is definitely picking up on their personalities and how they handle situations. So and he even goes back, I think he even goes back to start fighting them, right? Like, he starts trying to shoot him with the blasters and stuff. So he's definitely pushing him in his very unique way. I still have my questions as to why he seemingly feels like a different character in civilian mode compared to Don Momoitaro. I do think that there is a reason for that, and hopefully it'll be highlighted as the season progresses. But overall, man, I really enjoyed this week's episode. I'm trying to see if I have any other comments. We talked a little bit about Kiji brother, the brain persons. We talked about Onigiri, the monster, along with Oni and Saru. But yeah, my highlight for me this week was definitely Momoitaro and just his outlook and how he really goes about helping people. I thought it was really powerful when he said spoken words are the voice of the heart, and I think that really emphasizes the idea of why he certainly doesn't believe in lying. So interesting character attributes, to say the least. Whether or not that's going to be one that I continue to love as the season progresses, I do think it is a very valuable lesson that you are teaching the people in that regards. But very honest moments when it comes to Don Momoitaro, so I appreciate it. But overall, guys, listen, these are just simply my A+ opinions. At the end of the day, though, I want to know yours. What did you guys think about this particular episode? And listen, if there's anything that I missed, character moments, storyline details that you guys want to further go ahead and talk about, please go ahead and do so in the live chat or the comment section box below, which really helps our algorithm. And we'll definitely go ahead and continue this discussion with you guys next week. But until then, that's going to do it for me here. But we'll certainly see you then. In the meantime, do us a big favor as always. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.